Hey Narwhals, I'm your host Luke Narwhal, and welcome back to another weight loss video. Hope you enjoy. Anyone else get frustrated with their partner more after losing weight? We used to be so compatible, and I love her still, but it's so frustrating seeing her complain about her weight and then overeating. I lost 120 pounds with intermittent fasting, and all she's done is complain or say she can't do it. If I can do it, so can she. I wish she could just stick to a diet like I did and we could be fit and healthy together. Whenever we go on walks or bike rides, she complains the whole time and needs constant breaks and snacks. Just have a bit of willpower. I've snapped at her a few times over it and I know it makes her feel bad. She was upset yesterday because I now weigh less than her, but she then ate a half a tube of Pringles an hour later. I'm trying not to be a controlling boyfriend, but how hard is it to just not buy them in the first place? I don't like telling her what she should and shouldn't eat. Her overeating is a huge turnoff, too. She's gained weight in the relationship, and I'm losing attraction, especially because I'm now fitter myself. I try and educate her about healthy eating and weight loss, but it doesn't stick. She's giving up on diets after a week, and it makes me kind of mad because I know how much she hates her body and how happy she could be if she managed to lose it. She is also quite unsupportive of my diet, too, always trying to get me to eat bad food or saying I'm starving myself or exercising too much. I'm not. I'm healthy. She is a good girlfriend though. She's extremely loving and caring and does everything around the house for me. She was never bothered by my weight. I don't want to break up over this, but our lifestyles are now so different. How can I help her without getting annoyed? I would like to answer as someone who was previously the woman in this situation. 2.5 years ago, my BMI was 31, and I was in a relationship with someone who had lost about 100 pounds before we got together, and was now at a normal BMI. It felt very unbalanced because he got a lot more attention than I did, and I felt like I wasn't good enough for him. He tried to encourage me to lose weight the same way he did, which was primarily by switching to meal replacement shakes. He also had me text him pictures of everything I ate and a picture of the scale every morning. It got to the point that I would step off the scale just before it gave a reading in order to cheat, so it looked like I was losing weight. It was a very unhealthy relationship for me, and I didn't lose any weight. After that relationship ended, I decided to start losing weight on my own, using calories in, calories out, and exercise. Not as a means of getting revenge on him or anything, we broke up for other reasons. I've now been at a BMI of 21 for over a year, and am dating someone who is also very into nutrition and fitness. We are accountability partners. We send each other daily calorie logs and have exercise dates. However, I was single for 2 years in between these relationships, and a certain level of fitness was something I was unwilling to compromise on this time around. Honestly, I don't think it is reasonable to expect your partner to lose weight or become interested in nutrition and fitness just because you have. The situation would be different if she was previously into it and then stopped, but it sounds like you are expecting her to change and become a person she has never been before. My advice to you would be to consider whether you would be content staying with her if she doesn't change. Would you be happier a year from now if you were still with her as she is, or if you had cut your losses and found someone new who already shared your lifestyle? If you choose to stay, you need to drastically alter your behavior to become more kind and supportive. Offer her the tools for success without being pushy about it. Encourage her to browse subreddits like this one, journal about her feelings and what is causing her to eat her emotions. Offer to take on some of the housework so she has time to do these things. And most importantly, make her feel like she's good enough as she is, and that you actively prefer her over the presumably newfound attention you're probably getting from other women. Maybe she'll decide to change for herself. Maybe she won't. But she deserves a partner who loves and appreciates her as she is. And you trying to force her or her trying to force herself to change for you is not going to end well. After reading your post, what comes to mind is that overeating that causes excessive weight gain is typically triggered by an emotional response, and most of the time, it's a person being unable to process an emotion, and so they turn to eating. Maybe help her seek counseling for binging to help her overcome her unhealthy habits. I get it. It's very possible your lifestyles are incompatible now, and you need to break up. But you also seem to be passing judgment awfully easily for someone who used to be 120 pounds overweight. You're frustrated with your girlfriend's current habits, but what about your past self? Why didn't you have a bit of willpower and just not buy junk food before you got to that point? I know if you thought about it more, you would realize that it isn't easy to change to a healthier lifestyle. If it were, you and so many others wouldn't have been so overweight in the first place. and that if she wasn't snapping at you over your weight and habits back then, she doesn't deserve to have you doing it now. Hi, I lost a lot of weight doing intermittent fasting and 2x workouts in college. I'm older now and I cannot do intermittent fasting. I tried it again and I felt terrible. I couldn't function at work, I passed out and went to the ER, etc. If you want to talk to her about it, that is fine, but saying it worked for me, it'll work for her is ignorant. My mom is on Weight Watchers, she's lost 30 pounds, and my dad does intermittent fasting and Atkins. Atkins did not work for my mom. Y'all need to have an honest conversation about each other's health. You're mad because she's not doing things your way. While it's totally understandable to want a partner to care about the same things that you do, this post is a lot of she doesn't do what I think she should do. Well, I did it this way, so she needs to do it this way. If I can do it, so can she. Which just isn't the truth. Weight loss and the journey is different for everyone. Perhaps your methods aren't what she needs. There's no mention here of her needs, just your wants. Is she an emotional eater? Maybe there's something internally going on that needs to be addressed. Does she have low self-esteem because she feels not good enough? Not smart enough? Well, then there's probably some work that needs to be done there before she can really commit to keeping off the weight. Is her job stressing her out or the lack of job worrying her? Because she needs to find some better ways to cope with stress. I obviously don't know your partner, so I can't say this is a fact, but just trying to highlight that there may be more at play here for her than just not being able to buy the chips. I know these things are often seen as excuses to people with really good discipline and motivation, but remember that some people aren't as good as blocking out the other stuff that impacts all these decisions. You're clearly starting to feel resentful. I'd end the relationship for her sake. Or if you really want to try and make it work, try and focus on the things that she may need to encourage her to lose weight, instead of focusing on what you did. There's way too much negativity going on here. If someone was watching over me, judging me, and telling me to lose the weight and asking me how hard it is to just do it, well, I basically did have that. That's what an ED is like. Someone in your head constantly putting you down. And that's the thing that made it impossible for me to lose weight. When I thought about weight loss, I just associated it with stress and shame and guilt, and it made it impossible to treat my body well. You need to positively support her, accept her, and let her know that you love her, and allow her to love herself. If you're constantly hanging over her with this attitude, I can't imagine how bad she must feel, to be honest. As someone who has been in your girlfriend's shoes, all I can say is that we ended up breaking up. It took me quite a while after that to get right mentally, and now, a year later, I'm finally losing weight. No matter how badly I wanted to please him or save our relationship, the stress of knowing how he really felt about me was too much. I was already an emotional eater, and his ever-present judgment only pushed my binging in the wrong direction. That being said, you can't help how you feel. There's a lot of name-calling going on in this thread, but that doesn't solve the issue. Only you know what's right for you, but I would consider that maybe some time alone would be good for you both. If I can do it, so can she, is not true. The underlying issues behind weight problems are very different for different people, and what worked for you may very well not work for her, and your entitled attitude can't possibly be helping her. Intermittent fasting is hands down the worst thing I ever tried for weight loss. I had to learn to eat tiny high-protein snacks regularly instead. Before that, calorie counting worked for me. In both cases, I had to sort through emotional issues before anything else was possible. Is she in therapy? Whatever underlying issue is causing emotional eating is real and there for her, and your total lack of empathy and support is absolutely making it worse instead of better. You're allowed to be frustrated, but you're not allowed to act like who you currently are is so superior to who you were before the weight loss that you can disregard that she's where you were before. And that brings us to the end of the video, Narwhals. I really hope you enjoyed. If you did, please tap subscribe to join our awesome community, the Narwhals, and for more weight loss stories that help you stay on track.